Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Roots and Wings, a podcast that's dedicated to small to mid-sized business owners that are looking for those opportunities, those ideas, the thoughts on how to take their business to the next level. I'm David Solomon. I'm a fractional chief revenue officer.
And I'm Jennifer He. I'm Fractional Chief Marketing Officer.
Absolutely. And while we both come from different worlds, B2C, B2B, those letters really don't mean a heck of a whole lot because when we talk about business strategy, tactics, doesn't matter where you're coming from. Jennifer, you sent me a wonderful piece and I absolutely adore this. That if I'm not talking about the top of the wealth pyramid, be clear, you can't get, what is it? You said you can't belong there if you don't grow your
Yeah,
business
I sent you a
right.
question first. Are
My
you
question first then is,
90%?
can you define for me who is the real rare
Yeah,
business leader today?
yeah. So I sent you a question, David, and also this question is for our audience as well.
So let me ask the question then. Are
Okay,
you 90% or do you belong in the 1%?
1%.
So
Yes.
Jennifer, what are we talking about here? I
Yeah.
don't know. What's this 90% business?
So when I talk about 1%, I don't really mean like the wealth circle, that 1%. But if you do your business well, you might belong to that 1%. So when I say 1%, I meant, both tactical and strategic. So let me break this down. And, I'm going through Shed Holmes, and he is a strategic marketer and sales coach. I'm going through his book, and by the way, highly recommend The Ultimate Sales Machine. So in his experiences over decades of experiences, and also to both you, David, and myself, our experiences, 90% of the people we met, they're tactical, and 9% are strategic. Only 1%, very rare species, belong to both tactical and strategic.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, what we mean by tactical, it's tactical is very short term, very short term goal oriented. For instance, you send an email today and you want to achieve something, or you want to close that transaction very quickly. So that's more short term. And strategic is more long term. What your long term goal is, and you wanted to let your business grow, your business to have lasting power, and you have a direction and also a map. Long term, I'll give you an example. For instance, 3 months go to market plan, or what's your plan for your company 1 year down the road, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. And it's also about how to win your customers better than your competitors. So it has a direction, long-term relationship. So when we say 1%, both tactical and strategic is, you can both execute for today and also know the right things to get done for long term. So that's the 1% mindset. Both David and myself on this podcast, we keep going back to, but we wanted to repeat that. We do have that 1% mindset, and hope our entrepreneurs have that as well. And
Right.
this is the, I would say, secret to get you to that wealth 1%.
No, 100%.
Perhaps.
And I'll tell you the one thing that I find very interesting in what you just said is, the words are thrown around. Words like tactic and strategy are thrown around.
Yeah.
And as business owners, we fall into that, oh my God, I got to execute bucket. I got to go to work. I got to pay the bills. I got to
Yeah.
ship the goods. I got to open the store. We think day to day. We think operationally because that's really what we've been trained to do. And that's what we see that churns and turns and turns.
Mhm.
What's interesting though is before you open up that business, Hopefully, you wrote a business plan.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you looked at your projections. Hopefully, you looked at what the numbers would be in the future, how you were going to get there, what's the strategy, whatever, because there
Mhm.
was a relationship, as you said, between the
Mhm.
plan and then the execution.
Mhm.
But what happens when things change?
Mhm.
What happens when you suddenly are just executing and you forgot about your strategy?
Yeah.
You no longer, as you say, are no longer in the 1% anymore.
Yeah.
Now, what you've become is either, as you say, tactical, which is 9 out of 10 business leaders. And
Mhm.
in folks, you're in good company. No, not that you're in bad company, but
Mhm.
it's what you find yourself doing is you're on the hamster wheel over and over again.
Yeah.
You're not going to get off the hamster wheel
Yeah.
if you don't add the strategic part. And then
Mhm.
I have met, unfortunately, many business owners that rely way too much on strategy, but then when it comes to execution,
Mhm.
they're less interested. I
Mhm.
mean, I find that absolutely simply bizarre. But
Mhm.
like you said, the 1%, if we can get that 1%,
Yeah.
folks, we're hoping to get you there.
Mhm.
The hope you to get you, and it's not easy to get there. Okay, but if you, like you said, if you listen to this podcast, we're trying to give you those strategies and tactics to help you to get to that 1%. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned, a shout out to Chet Holmes, who, if in case you missed it just a few seconds ago, we put it up on screen. There's his book. Please feel free to take a look at it. It's just absolutely incredible. But
Mhm.
in the meantime, let's talk about the buyer's pyramid for just a second.
Mhm.
This is I
I
know
actually
you're
have an image here.
all right.
Oops, sorry.
So
Oh,
what I could tell you, folks. All right, go right ahead.
the buyer's image.
So what you want to take us through it a little bit? I'll put it up
Yeah.
on screen while you're talking up about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the buyer's image, basically what you need to remember is, 3% in any given situation market, only 3% of the people you're talking to, they're buying now. They have that mindset. And 7% is open to buying. So the rest of it, basically, the rest of people are not ready. So 90% of the people are not ready. And why do this period matter to you? Is we meet a lot of executives or business people when they go out and speak. It's all about them, right? They push their um, products and services. But look at this chart. Only 3% are buying now, and 7% are open to buying. So you are losing basically 90% of the people.
I find that
You
incredible,
know,
and I'll tell
yeah.
you, whether it's B2C or B2B, I think, and again, we'll use these acronyms because people throw that around a lot. But
Mm,
that's the reality is, if you think about a retail store and you just watch the passerby traffic. How many people, you got your store, you spend gazillions on your
mhm.
neon lights, your display and everything, and people are just walking right by because they fall into that bottom 3 buckets.
Yeah,
They know they're not interested. They don't
yeah,
think they're not interested. They don't think about you because they're just going.
yeah.
But there's that 10% that, if you do it right, are coming into your store. Same thing in
And
B2B. And I
also
tell them,
move those 90%, to that 10%.
right. But what we do,
Along over a time. That's why you need to be strategic.
right.
So when we say, we praise entrepreneur for execution because it's all about action. But we assume that, once you execute, you're gonna get that result. But 90% of the time, no.
No,
That's why we're saying you need to be strategic as well.
absolutely. But what I just to re-emphasize a little bit, even in the
Yeah.
B2B sphere, Jennifer, because like I
Yeah.
gave the analogy of the retail
Yeah.
store,
I'm
is
doing B2B as well. So
no, no,
yeah.
100%.
Go
And what I'm saying to everybody is very simple. When you think about it, your salespeople are going out and making cold calls. Your marketing is sending out all these emails, and they're doing all these things blindly to 10,000 people on LinkedIn.
ahead.
And you're wondering, why are people not responding?
Mm,
It's because they fall in those 3 bottom buckets. Because they know they're not interested. Okay, they don't think they're not interested, but they're not thinking about it. You're just throwing stuff on the wall hoping something sticks
yeah.
because you're not being, as you said, strategic. What you're doing is saying, let's execute, let's see what happens. And in
Mhm.
reality, you're only
Mhm.
talking to 3%.
Mhm.
So think about it. For
Yeah.
every 100 potential people you're speaking to, you'll get as much as three
Mm,
who are buying now. Doesn't mean they're buying you.
mm,
They're buying now.
mm,
The other 7 out of 10, that 7% or whatever, are open to buying, and you might have their attention, but you may. So look how hard this is today, Jennifer, for
yeah.
today to really to get there. And I think that this is really the important part. So let's move on because you're the marketing strategist. Uh,
Mhm.
how do I reach this other 90% that you seem
Mhm.
so elusive?
Mhm. So I would say, give you a short answer is provide them an education or an experience so that they can remember you and provide that value first before you ask for that transaction. Um, Steve Jobs has this famous saying. David, I know that you lead sales teams, so he was saying if we marketing if rendered well, like you can make the sales process obsolete. You look at what Apple was doing, right, during Steve Jobs' era is Apple Store. If you walk into Apple Store, they did so much good job on marketing. You're there closing yourself.
And I think
No
that's
salespeople is pushing products or services to you.
I think that is actually a fantastic example. And if you were to come and sit in my MBA classes,
Yeah.
one of the examples I use all the time. There are Microsoft stores, by the way, in the United States. They're empty, and I'll never forget, Jennifer, that I'm in the Aventura Mall down in Florida, Christmas time,
Yeah.
and the lineup out the door to the Apple store is I can't tell you how many bodies of people waiting, rushing to get into a store where,
Mm,
like you said, there are no salespeople.
mm,
They're not only buying now,
mm,
they're open to buying. And that
mm.
percentage of people that they're trying to reach is not 10, it's higher.
Yeah.
They're really getting to a higher market.
Yeah.
Down in that same mall is a Microsoft store.
Mhm,
Looks somewhat the same,
mm.
might smell somewhat the same,
Yeah.
and the people are twiddling their thumbs. This is Christmas time. People
Yeah.
should be flocking in buying phones, tablets,
Yeah.
computers, accessories. What did Microsoft not do as well as Apple? To your point, strategically target the folks to create a
Mhm,
buy now
mhm,
mentality
mhm.
or an open to buy mentality and
Yeah.
increase that percentage from 10% to who knows where. I think that, and by the way, I do use that example all the time with my students. It's a
Yeah.
brilliant thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you if I made this question. So
Mm,
if you were, I know what I tend to tell my clients, but
mhm,
what would you tell a retailer today
mm,
saying, okay, we want to increase the percentage?
mm.
How do we create this education driven marketing
Yeah.
if I'm in retail?
Yeah. So if you're in retail, you create that experience, right? And also for some of the stuff, like really listen and to what the customers' pain points are or what they need right now. Sometimes it's not necessarily push your own products or service, but give them something valuable. I'll give you an example. We had a customer walked in and she had this dress and she wanted a hat, so we do not sell hats in our store at the moment, but we say, okay, you are going to this party, and we know what kind of hats we can recommend you.
Sure.
So, my colleague will send her three links to an Etsy uh, store,
Nice.
Etsy online, saying, those three um, hats suit you, and you cannot find it anywhere else because she's going to a networking party and very unique party, so
Ooh,
you don't
okay.
want to have somebody else wear the same hats with you. So we do provide that value, and she understood that we have that expertise, and then she came back and purchased three dresses. We did not expect that.
Wow, fantastic. It's so funny because my son is telling me a similar story. He was saying he now works at a boutique here, very much like you're in Toronto, we're here in
Yeah.
Montreal, and he works at this fashion boutique. The owner is the designer, is almost one of a kind and whatever. And he'll have customers walk in, and there's no marketing, there's no advertising really per se about the store. The word of mouth has helped. There is a little bit of, I shouldn't say there's no marketing, there's a little bit thanks to the city of Montreal. And people come in, and what they are all impressed with is how the staff are able to ask really good questions so that they can find the right item. But what they're afraid of, these customers, is you're going to push something they don't want, because that
Mhm.
is what happens in retail, right?
Yeah.
We're liquidating this item. Jennifer, we got to sell this item fast, right?
Mhm.
That's now tactical. It isn't strategic, and you're not thinking of the long term. You're thinking of getting rid of merchandise to a
Mhm.
customer.
Mhm.
Think about, let me ask you this question based on what we're just talking about this. If I were to push the wrong item on a customer, what do I do to the buyer?
Just a very bad experience. They
Bad
wouldn't come
experience.
again.
And they will talk bad about you. They
Yeah.
won't come back,
Yeah.
and they may not spend money by you.
Yeah.
And that is the whole tactical. That was the whole idea of liquidate an item
Yeah.
for the sake of what? And
Yeah.
that's why you need to think of the both of the tactical and the strategic. That there's a strategy for liquidating of goods, and there's a strategy of. So you have to think about, in the way I see it all the time, like that. In my world of B2B, what I've told a lot of clients is you've got to create an interest. Because one of the amazing things today is that if I have an interest in an item, a product, a
Mhm.
service, or something, I'll go
Mhm.
online and find it. It's not like it
Mhm.
used to be that I had to wait for somebody to call me. I could
Yeah.
find it today. But what if I don't need it? Or what if I
Mhm.
don't need it today?
Mhm.
Doing a webinar, doing
Yeah.
workshops,
Yeah.
creating these white papers, doing this outbound, on LinkedIn, not emails, but
Mhm.
information, education. I think they call it the drip marketing. I think it was the is the term, is like
Yeah.
slowly but surely you're creating interest for people that, if I look at those last two buckets where they say they don't think they're interested, they're not thinking about it, because the bottom 30 are saying they know they're not interested. That's a
Mhm.
harder group to beat
Yeah.
up. But the next two tiers, what's 1%? What's
Mhm.
2%?
Yeah.
So I think that's, as a from that perspective,
Mhm.
I think that's wonderful. So how, if you were to right now go into speak to a business owner today,
Mhm.
and you say, hey, listen, I want to help you, strategy and
Mhm.
tactical.
Mhm.
Can you give us some examples? Just how would you help that retailer in terms of finding
Yeah.
those ways of
Yeah.
thinking both ways?
Yeah, it's not only retailers that we are
Of
helping,
course.
and also business professionals and financial services and some technology clients, big clients. But let me put it this way: so the aha moment is really people are you know people are worried about now, not worried, but some of them struggle. All those negative words we understand now is very important, and but think about what you're doing, to push products or services. You're not getting the now. If you're getting the now, we say, okay, go ahead, use those methods or tactics that you're using. Because you look at it, you only hit 10%, only 7% are open to buy. They're
Right.
not buying now. So,
Right.
so that's why we say, okay, calm down and let's provide something valuable to your prospects first. Establish that trust. And so, David, I really like it when we had one episode when you said, salespeople need to be business owners and CEOs. Because what you're really saying is let's turn a sales people to a strategist. You need to, totally strategize your sales. It's why? Because these days, if you want to get somebody's attention, it's multiple, like it's multiple times harder. basically, right? So we have social media. People have so many, channels to get information. So establish what all we're saying is establish that trust first and let people see you have the expertise. You are a business advisor rather than pushing products. You are their advisor in this area rather than pushing products or services to them. Um,
I
so
keep, I'm so sorry because I keep
yeah,
forgetting how much you do in the financial service and you do really help
no,
them
it's all
to,
right.
yeah, but you really help them. But you see, but by bringing that up, that's a fantastic point in terms of strategy and tactics.
Mm,
The whole thing about, okay, uh, let me just execute. What am I just
yeah.
execute? As a financial advisor, I'm doing the
Hmm.
same thing as the neighbor. I'm doing the same thing as somebody in another branch,
Yeah.
another company. It doesn't matter. It almost sounds vanilla.
Mm,
What I've told, clients that I used to have in the past who were in the financial services sector is, what can I learn from you?
yeah.
What makes you so special? Where is your sweet spot?
Mm,
Secret sauce, call it whatever you want.
yeah.
And it doesn't, and people think, oh, I don't have anything big. It doesn't have to be big. It could be that. And
Yeah.
I'll give you one example is I know somebody, she's a residential real estate agent. Now, there are thousands and thousands of real estate agents in Montreal, let alone Toronto, that has
Yeah. Or New
God knows
York,
how many
in
tens of,
any given city.
any given city has tens of thousands of them, right?
Yeah.
And she says, my expertise is downsizing. Oh, okay. Now, when I think of downsizing, I'm going to think of her.
Yeah.
I know somebody else. She says to me, her expertise is finding secondary residences, cottages, homes in another, Florida homes, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, wow, that's a very small market, but that's perfectly fine
Hmm.
because I understand now what they're bringing to the table by their expertise.
Yeah.
And now I'm not using a vanilla individual. I'm looking at somebody very particular. And I think, Jennifer, that is really the key when we're talking about the strategy and the tactics of, okay,
Hmm.
who am I want to approach? How will I approach them? Why am I approaching them? Now, when I approach them, as I go off screen here, I'm hitting them right. Now, they may not be thinking about downsizing, but maybe one day, or maybe their children go, mom and dad, maybe
Yeah.
it's time to
But
downsize.
they know somebody who will
One
need that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you've created a demand. You've like that demand has finally started
Yeah.
to increase. And shout out to my dear two friends there who are in those residential real estate. And they said I'll never shout them out in the podcast.
Yeah.
Listen, as we wrap up another wonderful edition of our podcast, let's just close up on the biggest mistakes that you see, and what is one piece of great advice you could give to people today, Jennifer, as we close this up today.
Yeah.
Be like, let's remember this pyramid, but what is the biggest
And
mistake you
this
see?
this pyramid and the one thing I want you to take away is fall in love with your client's reality before you fall in love with your products or service. So then people will feel like because if you push your products and services, you're only passionate about your own stuff. It's very self-centered, but fall in love with their reality first and what they're dealing with. So my challenging question to our audience today is, how do you solve your customers or your prospects burning challenges or problems, even if it has nothing to do with your products and services?
I think that's a brilliant way of doing it. And I'll tell you, and I think I love what you just said. Don't fall in love with your offer. Don't fall in love with your product or service. It'll change. By the
Mhm.
way, it will change, right? Let's think about it. We weren't selling cell phones 25 years ago, and we weren't, fast fashion didn't exist, and
Yeah.
certain financial services were not available,
Mhm.
25, 30 years ago. Your product and your service are a solution. Fall in love with the problem, pardon me, that you're going to solve for your clients. Be the
Yeah.
invaluable individual. I'll quote somebody, we're attention seeking right now. If you look at all the marketing that goes on, it's me, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. Why don't you flip that message to your customers saying,
Mhm.
you're the best. I'm here to help you. Here's how. So I
Yeah.
think that would be a great way for everybody to just kind of to remember that as we get out. So, folks, once again, thank you so much for joining us here. Pardon me, on Roots and Wings, as I go now need another good cup of coffee. We do this every 2 weeks. You'll see these wonderful podcasts on rootsandwings.com, on our YouTube, sorry, Roots and Wings YouTube channel. I shouldn't say .com yet, but please check us out there. All of our past episodes are there. It doesn't matter the order that you watch it or listen to it. It's fantastic content that we'd love for you to share and comment with your friends. Jennifer, if someone wants to find you because you have so much insight in the financial services as well as in retail, where can they find you?
So if you search Jennifer He plus Voyo, that's my company name. Or if you search me on LinkedIn, you will find me.
Awesome. And I'm the same way. If you look for David I. Solomon, I'm David I. Solomon 13. Actually, I'm LinkedIn, but I'm from Zero Growth as a fractional chief revenue officer. That is one of the best ways to find me. Or you can go to my website. It's zerogrowth.com. That's SERO growth.com. A lot of insight. Jennifer and I both have a ton of information. Speaking of education, we do a lot of it. There's a lot there, whether it's video, articles, blogs, podcasts, you name it. So we look forward to hearing from you guys, and we wish you all the very best in your success. And remember, you want to be in that 1%, it takes strategy and tactics.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.